not holding back, letting my true colors show. No time to waste, so I've just gotta let go. Ignore what they say, unapologetic with me. Shout it out loud, hey, hey, sing it to the world. Being the authentic me. Sing it to the world. Being authentic, no we. Hi friends, my name's Noe and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, last video I kind of gave you an overview of all of the medical crazy that is going on. And as I mentioned, it is finally being resolved. I finally have a treatment plan and I finally know where I'm heading and what's gonna happen. So that is a huge relief. But today I'm going to talk about one specific part of my medical journey, and that is my experience with getting an MRI. For those of you who don't know, an MRI is basically the same as a CT scan, where it takes pictures of the inside of your body and can do like x-rays and things like that to see if there are any problems or to see if there are any abnormalities. So the difference between an MRI and a CT is that a CT uses radiation and an MRI uses magnets. So when you're inside the machine, there's a lot of banging and a lot of clanking and some siren noises, and that is the magnets kind of rubbing together or banging together to take the pictures. So a quick refresher, I got the MRIs because I have regular headaches. I get headaches 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, which is not fun, but I kind of just pushed through them, and by the time I went to the neurologist, I'd been having these headaches for about a year. So I waited a long time before even like going to get it figured out or get it checked out. But when I went to the neurologist, they recommended that I get an MRI done to see if there were any problems like a tumor or a cyst or anything like that could be causing the headaches. So I went to get an MRI. I had to get 3 different ones done. I had to get one done on my brain, my neck, and my head. So the first place that I went to, they were supposed to do all 3, but they ended up only doing the neck and head because they said that head and brain were the same, which they're not. So then I ended up having to go to another place to get the brain MRI done. MRIs can be really scary. So when I went to the first place, they let me listen to music, so they put like these headphones on you, and I'm claustrophobic, which is not a good mix for being inside like this circular machine. So they attached this little mirror and it allowed me to see back into the control room where they were sitting. Instead of looking up and seeing the top of the MRI machine, I could look up and see them. So that was very helpful and it made me feel less claustrophobic. But at the second place, they didn't do music, they didn't do the mirror, so that one was definitely more difficult. So that's just a little bit of context and overview of the situation, and now I'm going to put in a clip that I filmed actually the day that I got back from my second MRI, and I kind of explain my crazy experience with that. Hi friends! So I just got home from my MRI. I'm still a little on edge and a little shaky. I'm gonna explain what happened. So basically, I'll start with the first MRI. So the first MRI that I got was at a different place. So I actually didn't hate that MRI. I had horrible expectations going in. I was really nervous. I was thinking all these bad things like, oh, I'm gonna feel like I'm closed in, I'm gonna have a panic attack, I'm gonna be claustrophobic, I'm not gonna be able to stay still, like all this stuff. But that didn't happen. I got there and the technicians were very, very nice. They made sure I was doing okay, and they answered all of my questions beforehand. They asked me if there was anything I wanted to know, and they were just very, very helpful. And they put music, they put headphones on me so I could listen to music, all this stuff. They put this little mirror over, so you have to wear like this thing over your face when you're doing a head or a neck or a brain MRI, and they attached this little mirror so that I could look up and I could, you know, see them in the mirror, because I couldn't see into the back window where they were, and it was just not as bad as I was expecting at all, and it overall wasn't a bad experience. But this time, after going through that experience, I had higher hopes and higher expectations, I guess. So this time everything was basically the same starting out. So I went back, I had to get changed, I had to put on a mask without metal, all this stuff, and then they ended up doing an IV in my arm, and that's where things started going wrong. So I don't think these people didn't know what they were doing. I think they know their jobs, and I think they know what they're doing. But the IV, they had to do 4 different IVs for me, because they started out doing one in my left arm and it went okay, and then they started to put the saline in my arm, and it just, nope, it hurt really, really bad, and so they had to take it out. And they tried to do another one in my left arm, same thing. So then they did one in my right arm, and it, same thing, it still hurt really, really bad. And then they finally got one in my arm, and it didn't hurt as bad, so I just didn't say anything because I was done getting poked by needles. And then this time they gave me earplugs, and I was like, huh, okay, earplugs. Are they gonna put headphones over the top of them? Nope. They just put the cage thing over my face, no mirror this time, put me in the machine, and no music, so I could hear everything, like all the clanking and the whirring and the alarms. And because I didn't have music, I didn't have anything to focus on, so I started thinking all of these things in my head, like something could go wrong, and then I started like focusing on these little things. I was like, oh my gosh, my shoulder's itchy, or like, oh my gosh, I have an eyelash in my face. And then I couldn't stop thinking about those little irritants, and then that started like to annoy me and like get me frustrated, so it got me kind of worked up, you know. And then I kept hearing all this whirring and like clanking, and I couldn't get my mind off of it. And then that's like all I could focus on was the sound, and then my breathing started speeding up, and I knew I was having a panic attack, but I didn't want to get out of the MRI machine because then they might have to restart like the pictures and stuff, and so I didn't like press the buzzer. And then they ended up having to redo 2 pictures because of my breathing, because I was breathing so fast and my chest was rising so heavily. It messed up the pictures, so they had to redo 2 of them, so it just like took longer, and I just like totally lost it. I'm still kind of, before making this video, I came home and I kind of laid down for a little bit, and I just like kind of closed my eyes and focused on my breathing to kind of calm myself down. And after I got out of the machine, I started crying, and I know that might sound a little like babyish, like, oh, you can't handle that, but I think it was because of the panic attack. I was just like, it just caused me to like, this emotion, just like cry, and like I just yeah. So I had a better MRI experience the first time around, for sure. This one wasn't great because of the panic attack, but I mean, the people knew what they were doing. It wasn't like they did anything wrong. It was like more all on me. Like I couldn't shut off my brain from having these like thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I might die in this machine, which I know is total crazy. Like, no, you're not gonna die in an MRI machine. But when I was in there, I couldn't help but feel trapped and claustrophobic, and it's just not good. Alright friends, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for listening to my crazy MRI experience, And if you guys ever have to get a future MRI, I am not trying to scare you. My first experience was so great. Just if you have the opportunity to listen to music or get some sort of device to help you cope with the claustrophobia, if you're claustrophobic or something like that, please ask for it. That was a mistake I made with the second MRI. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed hearing my story, and I definitely had an interesting experience, and I'm glad that I got to share it with you guys. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends. Being authentic, no.